पैकेज ड्रिंकिंग वाटर कहते हैं, जब इसे फेंक दिया जाए प्लास्टिक वेस्ट कहते हैं, और उस प्लास्टिक वेस्ट से बने हुए जैकेट को वेल्थ कहते हैं। नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, वणक्कम, गुड आफ्टरनून, कोनिचिवा to all the esteemed dignitaries on the dais and the esteemed audience. And ये जो सफर है from plastic waste to wealth, उसकी जो growth engine है, हमारे dais पे बैठी है. They are 6 recyclers operating in 9 countries. अब आप सोचिएगा कौन कौन सी countries हैं. And without them, such waste to wealth operations would not have been possible. And they are all experts in this field. And without wasting much time, because sabko bhook lag rahi hai, so we will straight away dive into questions. We prepared a list of 23 questions, then we shrunk it to 12, then we will try to make 15. Let's see how the session goes on. And the first question I will ask Shri Bhadresh Dodhia ji, who is the Thalaiva, the sort of leader in terms of policy making, approaching to the government. In recent times, ऐसा हुआ है कि the recyclers take GST credit, and after some time the regulator comes knocking in. GST is denied. So there is a big issue, lot of debate, and you are leading that advocacy to the government, how to deal with the subject. Can you just brief the audience what the issue is and what is the solution?
Thank you. Thank you for that. Coming back to your question on GST, see, just to give the background to the audience, today the waste aggregators are collecting bottles from rag pickers, and those waste aggregators are baling those bottles, giving it to the recycling processor like us. Now the GST charged by waste aggregator is 18%, and under GST law, we who are procuring this waste from the market are subject to ensure that those GST credit which we have taken as input must be paid to the government. Now, as we know, this aggregator or kabadiwala, what we say today, needs very low capex, or the entrance to this business is extremely low. So this is encouraging malpractices in recycling business, wherein as a recycler, when we purchase the GST paid bottles, GST is paid to the aggregator, and this aggregator's defaults for whatever reason. In the recent 1 year, this has come to the light of government. Government, instead of acting on the root cause analysis, they have gone after the recycler like us and traced the actual user who are recycling and claim those unpaid GST on the recycler because the aggregator do not exist or vanish. What we have done, we recycler have done, is to be very cautious on purchasing and ensure that the aggregator are well researched. But still, it's not easy for a recycler to keep a tap on their supplier. So this is leading to a great problem. Also, paying 18% is a huge amount, which is leading to the working capital blockage also. Apart from that, this recyclers are coming, this waste aggregators or kabadiwalas are coming like mushroom from every place. They are employing 5 to 6 rec pickers and collecting bottles and putting those bottles back to the recycling system. So what we've been asking or advocating to government is, if we can bring this waste, PCR waste.
Thanks, Bharat Bhai. I mean, the way he phrases his questions, that itself is, I think, keeps the audience awake. Number one, of course, even in fiber, and you're a master at that, fiber itself is showing so much of application, and this is, of course, the sports brand, everything, they're all coming out of the fibers. Of course, the bottle to bottle, as we know, is the next big thing. And the other thing which is, I think, going to, with the availability increasing, one, I think, should be the strapping. One would be the automotive. There's already some work going on, maybe with compounding. And where, in my personal opinion, the real explosion is going to come is going to be in food packaging. Because bottle to bottle obviously means it's a food grade, it will have a contact. So that's all the clearances are there. And food packaging, I think, is going to be the big area where in the next 4 or 5 years, we are going to see possibly a lot of replacement of the current thin-walled containers of polypropylene, etc., and going into PP. For example, we are also putting up a new machinery which is going to be a different technology. It's a liquid state polycondensation, which will have a much lesser percentage.
It's very unique.
Of contaminants, which we hope is going to be the right this thing for the food application. I was just going through a couple of strange applications, not in India but worldwide. One, apparently there is a startup company in USA which is using it for acoustic ceilings. Apparently PET compounded has got a very good property for acoustic ceilings. Hadn't heard of it before. And another startup.
Good afternoon, Bharatji. Good afternoon, August audience. While Bharatji made a very interesting introduction to SmartBin, he's actually leading me to talk about trash. So when we think, trash, what comes to our mind is like garbage, filth, and in local lingo we call it kachra. I hope all of us, or most of us here, would remember the movie Lagan, where we had this character Kachra, who was a rag picker, and he changed the game. So today it is waste and rag pickers who will change the game. So as our country progresses, and there is huge economic growth, heat waves, the consumption of beverage is going to rise. That's good for PET, but also it brings a responsibility on us for disposing of PET responsibly. Recycling is the mantra now. Waste is gold mine. At Magpet, we are now on our path to be India's first PET circular enterprise by setting up one of the largest rPET plant with latest European technology. And in that role, I now don the cap of a circularity man. I now love waste. It's the most precious resource for me. Audience and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen here, when we were kids, we had this, toddler rule that if anything is broken, it is not mine. But now as adults, and I'm sure all of us here in this room here, we know this PET bottle, and every one of us would be wanting to dispose of this responsibly in a bin. It is driven by our moral conscience to keep the environment right and leave it right for our next generations. So this is where steps in SmartBin. So we thought of it as a concept to make it idiot-proof, all-weather proof, and easy to use. It is shaped like a PET bottle. The concept of shaping it like a PET bottle was to cut across language and other barriers, and a simple communication that I am ready to collect used bottles. It has a smart sensor which actually senses the fill levels and optimizes routing. It has a tall boy concept. We did it quite tall because when we saw that most of the bins being used in India often gets used as spittoons or other materials get thrown in. So we did a tall boy concept. So the concept behind it was to think global but act local. Now what the best part of it is easily scalable and it can be placed very easily everywhere. It has also a unique QR code. So we are not only placing the bin, our objective is also to drive information and knowledge about PET recycling. So as you scan the QR code, you be a green ambassador, you get a lot of information on what PET recycling is. As a top-up, you also get reward points and surprise gifts. So that's how the top-up has been. But you know, the most important thing what we are doing with this SmartBin, and all of us, like I mentioned, that waste and rag pickers. So we are integrating the rag pickers, the bottom of the pyramid channel. They will integrate. We will build a social inclusion model where we will drive economic income augmentation for them and also drive micro enterprises with them, which will enable us to meet a lot of SDG benefits. So gentlemen and ladies here, I believe now you would like to agree that it's time for us to change that toddler rule. So what is broken is ours now. We have
to, yesterday itself, we are all are talking about chemical recycling and their plus and minus. So at JB Ecotex Limited, we firmly believe that mechanical and chemical both should be there and both should be hand in hand to achieve our 100% circularity goal. If I talk about chemical recycling, then there is no standard process, no standard method. Whereas in mechanical recycling, there will be dryer, extruder, and we need to build the IV. Chemical recycling can be by glycolysis, hydrolysis, sololysis, methanolysis, and number of ways. It always depends on the process which you are following, your cost will be accordingly. From day one, it's been 5 years since we are doing this project. From day one, our target was very clear that we need to have sustainable rPET by chemical recycling method. And we are very proud that as of now, our chemical recycling rPET cost is around 15 to 20% higher than mechanical recycling. Against that, what benefit we are getting is with chemical recycling, when we have done testing of our commercial products, in terms of AA content, in terms of heavy metals, all those results are almost equivalent to virgin polymer. So when we are talking about n number of times of recycling, like we have made a recycle bottle, then again we need to recycle, then again we need to, then chemical recycle will be helpful. There are lots of material which are hard to recycle. Every one of us are talking about feedstock, that where feedstock will goes. Because mechanical recycle material is clear that material which is very easy to recycle needs to be there so that it can be recycled and can be placed in market. But with chemical recycling, our next target would be trying to hard to recycle material like Magpet films, textile waste, there can be decoloration, all those kind of things are on the page. So by that avenues, a true circularity, feedstock problem, many problem will be solved. And yeah, cost is matter with the commercialization and everything. I think cost will be settled down at some base. And there will be some people who would be love to pay more for a true circular reason or the common cause for which we all are here. So this is the clear understanding from our side. We are coming up with mechanical and as well as chemical, and both will be there always.
Great, sir. Thank you. That will be a delight to hear from you.
Thank you, Bharat. Good afternoon, everyone. See, PET washing lines, we have been running since 2 decades almost. Over the last 1 decade, there has been a lot of changes in terms of capacities and capabilities, technology-wise and in terms of circularity as well. We have seen the wash lines from 1 ton to 2 ton, which were there about 8 to 10 years back. Today we can see the wash lines of up to 8 to 10 tons an hour. We already have a wash line of 6.5 tons per hour in Hyderabad. Magpet is coming up with a capacity of 5.5 tons an hour. So the capacities have increased manifolds in the last 1 decade. As the demand is increasing, so as the capacities are also increasing, and many of the technology suppliers are coming up with higher capacities, maintaining many other aspects in terms of energy conservation, and circularity. Coming on to the question of evolution in terms of technology, let us see it in the 3-4 ways. One is about the washing process. Lot of machines are coming up with multiple stages of hot washing. Initially, there were only single stage or 2 stages of washing were there. But now, there are many lines which are coming up with multiple stages of hot washing. We can see high pressure jet washings. We can see friction equipments which are more smoother, more valuable in terms of making good quality of flakes. So, a lot of changes has been done in terms of washing capabilities to get a good quality of flakes. Coming on to the point of sorting, because these are 2 major aspects in a PET washing line, washing as well as sorting. To remove non-PET contents, to remove glue, to remove many such particles and colors, there have been a lot of equipments which have been added in the last 10 years to the washing lines. In terms of sorters, we can see bottle sorters, high-speed bottle sorters have come up. We can see a lot of infrared techniques, NIR technologies are there, AI-based sorters are there, the polymer sorters, color sorters, eddy current sorters are there to remove metals. So a combination of these equipments have been added at the final stage of washing lines in these years to improve the quality, to remove the non-PET contents, and to get a better quality of rPET flakes. Simultaneously, there has been a lot of work in terms of energy conservation and sustainability and circularity. Like we now have heat recovery systems in the washing process, which can conserve the heat. We now have water circulation system at every stage to reuse that water to the extent possible. We have the water shifting process to use this water at the previous stage.
And they are one of the largest global recyclers. And while you will be observing India and comparing with how ALPLA worldwide is doing, what do you find missing? What are the best practices missing in India, which should desirably be there in India? Who can bring the audience?
And good afternoon to you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, my compliments to you. I call Bharatji the Ravi Shastri of the PET industry. That's how powerful his announcements are. And you have the ability to capture an audience right before lunch. So, answering the question, I think Indian recyclers are on a very good technology path. There are best practices globally that are being already brought in Punit ji's line, in Nitin ji's line, in Dalmia's line, in Sri Chakra, what have you. Some of the things that I found missing, which are being addressed in real time, are taking a less capital conscious approach and adding more onto things like sorting, adding more onto things like extrusion. Before there was this whole notion of just using bottle sorters, flake sorters weren't as popular. Now we're getting into an ecosystem where you have 4 bottle sorters plus 2 flake sorters, 1 for color, 1 for polymer. Similarly on the extrusion side, so there are things that we can learn from global, but there's also things that the world can learn from India. And this second aspect is something that we should highlight as well, because one thing that we are very good at is figuring it out washing. So the Indian ecosystem has found ways to look at Borotech and make that FDA compliant with the European line. This nobody else has done in the world, only Indians have done, right? So this, similarly, Ravindra ji has come up with an indigenous washing line, which is FDA compliant now, which works with a Stallinger. So these are some things that the world can learn from us as well. In terms of one area that we find missing, it's not about just buying machines that are European and installing them and getting an FDA. We would like to challenge the recycling community in India and say, where are the Indian extruders, right? We have folks coming up with washing lines. We have folks coming up, Ishitwa is coming up with very interesting sorting, air sorting on, cameras, optical with AI and machine learning. But when it comes to extrusion, the first thought that comes in our head is, we need a European extruder. because, you know, Coke or Pepsi will give us a brand approval. So we need to envision a time when Coke and Pepsi say this Indian extruder has the brand approval and it should be exported to the world and it should be made in India. If we can do Chandrayaan, we can do this.